Lord. I ask you to give each one of us the knowledge we need, Lord, and give us the wisdom and knowledge tonight to make the right decisions, Father, to benefit the county and its residents, Lord. And I just ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
This is a regular meeting of the Henry County Board of County Commissioners being held on Tuesday, February 28, 2017 at 5 p.m. in the Commission Chambers in LaBelle, Florida. In attendance are Chairman Michael Swindle, Vice Chairman Darrell Harris, Commissioner Emma Byrd, Commissioner Mitchell Wills, County Administrator Charles Chapman, County Attorney Mark Platt, Deputy Clerk Anita Deschelle.
Thank you very much. If everyone would please indulge me just for a moment. I would like to deviate from the agenda, and I would like to call Chief Deputy Kevin Nelson to the diocese. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Would you please introduce your special guest?
Certainly. Kevin Nelson, Henry County Sheriff's Office for the record. Good evening, Commission, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to introduce Laura Hernandez, AJ Blackman, and Kyle.
Yep, please come forward, guys. There's special reasons why he's introducing these guys and why we asked them to be here tonight. Would you like to expand on their new position?
Can do that. As you recall, last year you entered into an agreement with the sheriff to address the issue of our attrition and our deputies leaving us and going to larger counties for more money. An idea that you all came up with was to hire local, people that were raised here and live here, and can't go to the academy because they're working, so they can't quit their job and go to the police academy and come back here to go to work as a sheriff's deputy or police officer or whatever. And so this, you all allowed us to hire 3 per year. You would reimburse the sheriff the cost for the tuition and their salaries while they're in benefits while they're in school. And then through attrition, we're able to put them on the staff immediately. So this is the first 3 from last year that have graduated. Laura's from LaBelle. She was raised here in LaBelle. Kyle's from LaBelle, raised here. AJ Blackman is from Clewiston area, Ventura, and born and raised. So we're proud of them, proud to have them on part of our team. And as you know, our local residents will police us the way we should be policed.
That's absolutely right. And this was the intent of the program. We love to see our homegrown folks take advantage of this opportunity. I know AJ personally, and I know the rest of you, the other 2. I know you've got to be fine folks, from LaBelle. And it's absolutely right. We want you to be happy here. We're glad that you're here in the form of leadership and protecting us. And so thank you very much for doing what you're doing. And the reason we moved them early tonight is because I think they are actually on duty, right? And they've got to go out and keep us safe and catch bad guys. So thank you all for being here. We're looking forward to working with you for years to come.
If I may, one other local deputy that we have who's been here 18 years in the sheriff's office is Lieutenant Mike Stevens back there.
Can you come up, Lieutenant Steve?
He's a district lieutenant for East District over in the Clewiston area.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah, y'all please come forward and y'all take the crowd, all of you, then we'll get a, number 1, it's going to stream live on the web. And number 2, we'll get a nice picture. Try not to make it look bad. Thank you guys. Glad y'all are here. Thank y'all for allowing us to deviate from the agenda to do that. Back to the agenda, the first thing is going to be bids, and under bids is RFQ 2017-03. No, the line. I think. Okay, motion to accept from Commissioner Harris. Is there a second? Commissioner Wills. Any questions or anything pertinent you need to add, Mr. Parker?
No, sir.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Next is RFQ 2017-05. Motion moved by Commissioner Harris. Second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Number 3 is RFP 2017-08, lease of space at LaBelle Airport. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Harris. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wills. Is there any discussion? Yes.
Chairman, I need to make a comment. Shane
Okay.
Parker for the record. This lease needs to start February 1st.
Oh, retro.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He's got the big hanger.
He's got the
Yeah.
big hangar, the mobile home, and the office
He's
space.
going to take some FBO office out of it? Or not yet?
He's leasing the same space he was before.
Okay, same. Okay.
Right.
All right, awesome. With that in mind, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Number 4 is RFP 2017-06, Security Guard Services for Henry County Courthouse. Is there a motion?
Motion that we accept.
Motion moved by Commissioner Byrd. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wills. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. And last under bids is ITB 2017-07, delinquent real estate. Is there a motion from Commissioner Byrd? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wills. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Okay, and next on the agenda is a consent, and everybody knows under D3 needs to be removed, should not be there. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Anything else? I didn't hear anything else to be pulled. Nothing else needs to be pulled.
Move to accept.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris to accept the balance of the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Wills. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you need to make a roll call?
Oh, I heard you, Miss Anita. Some of us can just hear better than others. Okay. Under awards and appearances, I believe we have Mr. Brent Kettler. Mr. Brent Kettler is going to talk to us about the Trentino project. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Trentino, yeah.
Trentino, okay. Take it away, Mr.
Kettler
Kettler.
for the record. Thank you, Commission. Tonight I bring before you a request for the approval of the resolution brought forth regarding Project Trentino. I've provided you with some general high-level details of the project. Essentially what this is, and for the record and for the public, this is the request for the Henry County Board to recognize that the state is evaluating and upon approval would offer the qualified targeted industry tax rebate to this company for a performance-based agreement based on the number of jobs, capital investment, and average annual wage that these jobs carry.
And to be clear, how much of this is coming from the county budget?
0.
That's okay. Good answer.
39 jobs.
Correct.
What was the time period on it? What was the time, does that create 30 of them?
That would be 39 in the first phase or first year.
1 year?
Yes. And the project would commence within 6 months of the approval from Enterprise Florida.
And to be clear, they're still vetting sites. They've not decided
That is
this is where
correct.
they're going to be. They're still doing their due diligence
It
as
is a
well.
competitive project.
Right,
Yes.
okay. All right. Is there any motions from the board?
Move to accept.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Anyone opposed?
I declare the motion.
That motion passes. Thank you very much.
Chairman, just as a information for the board is that at the next commission meeting on March 14th, you will have a discussion item brought before you to consider a ad valorem tax abatement application that Project Trentino has applied for with the county. Some of the information that you've already been provided will also be available at that particular agenda item. We had to get clearance from the company to reveal some of these items per Florida statutes. There's some confidentiality requirements for business practices, et cetera, that we need to be careful about for this particular piece, but we are getting those clearances currently, so we'll be able to provide you a full and vetted packet at that meeting. I don't know if Mr. Cutler had anything else he wanted to add to that particular discussion.
Will we be able to get that before the meeting or at the meeting?
It will be with your original packet that comes out 10 days before the meeting, so you'll have that. And we're taking it in 2 parts. There will be the discussion about whether or not the board wants to consider providing a tax abatement for the application or not. If the board wishes to do the tax abatement, then we'll come back on the March 28th meeting with the ordinance to engage the tax abatement at that time.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you.
I see nothing else under awards and appearances. We'll move into the public hearing, and to begin with, we have Ms. Emily who's going to talk to us about the first public hearing on which you have.
Yes, this is an adoption hearing for an ordinance establishing a moratorium on permitting medical marijuana dispensaries and medical marijuana treatment centers. The moratorium would be up to 9 months.
Any questions from the board?
So that's all this is?
Correct.
Just put a moratorium on them establishing things. Give us time to
We will
review.
work on the regulations in the short term.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris and second by Commissioner Burns. Is there any discussion from the board? Public hearing. This is a public hearing. Does anyone from the public wish to address this issue? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Emily.
You're welcome.
You're going to stay with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go right ahead.
This is a land development code amendment. You saw part of this a couple months ago. This is an adoption hearing of an ordinance adopting a definition for mobile home subdivision. We had some extensive discussions on this over the last few months, and this would just finalize the adoption of it.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wills. This is a public hearing. Is there any members of the public wish to address this issue? Seeing none, any further discussion on the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. And the last one, Ms. Embledge?
Yes, this is an adoption hearing for a comprehensive plan future land use map amendment. This was an amendment for the North LaBelle property that we presented to you previously to change the land use category from residential low density to residential medium density to be in line with the zoning that's on the properties that are zoned for mobile homes.
So moved.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Byrd. This is a public hearing. Does any members of the public wish to address this issue? Seeing none, any further debate from the board? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Embledge. Very good job again. Nothing in the correspondence section. Correspondence FYI, any questions? I would like to point out, and I'm sure all of you read it, but I'd love to draw attention to these. There was a letter from Ms. Joan Brown from Paramount Chemicals. Did y'all get to read that? And there was an accident a month or so ago at their chemical plant south of LaBelle. And I don't know if anyone has had the opportunity, or fortunate or otherwise, to get to see our county EMS and first responders in action. They are second to none, very professional, very on point, and I happened to be witness to one of their life-saving techniques a little over a year ago and about an hour and a half ago. And so our EMS just does a great job, and I'm very, very appreciative for who they are and their training and the leadership that goes into them. So all of you leaders, please pass it down that, we appreciate what you do and what they do on a daily basis. They did some life-saving techniques that day. So good job. Moving into staff reports, Mr. Chapman, number one.
Honorable Chairperson and members of the board, just as a quick aside, I do want to remind everyone that we are live streaming our meeting tonight, and if you would, when you're making comments, if you don't mind speaking directly into the mic, we do have a little bit of a sound system challenge. We've gotten a couple of comments on our page that it's hard to hear what your comments are, so if I could just ask you to indulge us, and please be mindful that the mics have a hard time picking up your voice when you're sitting back in your chair. With that, we'll go into the A1 under staff reports. It's amendments to the Henry County Board of County Commissioners Human Resources Policy. This past summer, the board authorized staff to go through the Human Resources Manual and to make various changes and amendments. We provided this document to you under correspondence FYI at the previous meeting on February 14th for your availability to review. There's been several changes outlined within the staff report, which I'm happy to go through if the board would like for me to do that. However, the only things I need to really point out to you that has changed is under policy 16-11. We're making a scripter change to a variety of different areas, but primarily to change the term minor reprimand to verbal reprimand, change major reprimand to written reprimand, and various other changes throughout the document as it would correspond to that definition change. We're just trying to clarify it a little bit more so that we know what tools are in our toolkit. However the board would like to proceed from here, definitely we'll take your guidance, but the staff report is before you for consideration, and we would recommend adoption.
Is that the only changes?
Yes, sir.
You have some specific questions, Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, reading further back through this, I see we discussed this the other day about the annual leave and sick leave. And I was very glad to see that we're trying to reward the employees for the ones that are the 240 hours. Usually, for those of you that do not know, they lose the time. They do not accrue any more time. And that's time that goes back. They don't get anything for that. The only thing I did have an issue with is the sick leave policy. I do not really like the way that is. These are employees that have been with the county many years, and to limit them to the 325 hours. The annual leave was 240 sick leave at a quarter-hour basis. They're going to get 1 hour per at that time. So basically, they're going to get an hour rather than losing all 4 to 6 hours. They'll gain 1 hour if they have 240 hours. But the sick leave issue I had was that these employees have been here that long. That's an incentive. We need to give our employees more incentive to come to work every day. That's what they do. So I'd like to see us change that. I'd like to see, there's already a cap of 25% of their sick leave is what it's at now. So you have employees that have been here for 20, 25, 30 plus years. Rather than taking away, I think we should reward them for their service.
In the way of allowing them to bank it?
That's right. They can bank it now. But what they were saying was that we was going to cut it back to pay strictly that amount of time, and they wouldn't actually get the 25%. Some employees wouldn't actually get 25%. Mm-hmm. I just don't agree with that.
Will they get anything when they leave?
If they give proper notice, they get 25% of their sick leave,
When they leave.
and they receive 100% of their annual leave. That's correct. But at this rate, it would cut back whatever that was to 325 hours. And I understand that we're trying to protect the county, but we also need to look at the employees as well. Because if they put that much time in the county, they deserve to get something back.
Yes.
To make sure that I'm absolutely right on point with Commissioner Will's comments is we're talking about policy 13.12.b, and this has to deal with employees that were hired after January 1, 2013. With the prior iteration of this policy, those employees that were hired after January 1, 2013 were not getting paid any sick leave compensation at the time of separation. What we built in here was an amount not to exceed 320 hours of sick leave, and that's what Commissioner Willis would like for us to consider revisiting. That's for board discussion and direction of the staff. This was us trying to move in a similar direction, and we'll follow the will of the board of how you would like for us to proceed. I would like the board to consider the years of tenure, because we do see quite a bit of turnover, and to me, if you've stayed with the county 10 plus years, you need to be rewarded for that commitment to the county. Oftentimes you find those are homegrown local folks, and we want to make sure they stick around, but also there's professionals that have chosen to move here to take these positions and want to be here as well. So the tenure side of things, that's up for discussion and debate at the will of the board, but we went with 10 years for tenure and then 320 hours for cap. Please note that's 320 above the zero that these employees that were getting if they were hired after January 1, 2013.
So 113 back, they're okay?
December 31st, 2012 at 11:59 p.m. and back, there's I think it's 25% clause of their total bank. So it's whatever that X would be. I mean, there's some individuals, for some reason, God has blessed them, and they never get sick a day in their life, and they never take any sick leave, so they could have thousands upon thousands of hours.
So we got to have a cap on that eventually.
And that same kind of fiscal conservancy, that's why we suggested a cap at 320 after 2013.
The school board got into that situation, and they had some of those 30-year people retiring, and
They was having to pay them $200,000 each or $300, and they was going broke, so they had to redo their policy.
That was more probably with 5 year, that was more of your drop plan, I would imagine. That's your sick leave ain't gonna accrue that
Well,
much.
that was people like the school superintendent, assistant superintendent, and all those people.
I'm just saying, I think we need to reward the employees. You know, here's the question. When people come to Hendry County, they ask, what do you think about your job? I can tell you after 28 years, I used to tell people all the time, I love the benefits. The insurance is good. I have families. The insurance is good. They take good care of us. We have time off. I can tell you over the past few years, once again, that's why I'm sitting here tonight. That's not the case. The insurance is not what it used to be. The employees out there making $10 an hour, it's hard on them to raise a family of 4 people, and we have quite a few employees in that area. So we need to keep in mind that when you're setting policy up there, this is affecting people's lives, it's affecting their children. And we want people to come in here and be a good employee, we need to give them incentive to come in here and be good employees. Not, well, you're new, so we're just gonna give you this. We need to give them a reason to wanna work and live in Hendry County.
I would like to just say, I don't disagree with what you're saying about the insurance, but that's not specific to Hendry County BOCC or Hendry County. That was, you know, any insurance nationwide, you know, it's taken that over the last 10 years. And everybody's got to be, now, I know we're not good, but everybody's in the same boat.
Compared to everybody else.
They've taken a big hit,
Yeah,
and the employees have taken a big hit. It costs more every year, and without raises, yeah, it's tough, so.
Yeah,
It's a whole lot better than the school board.
yeah.
I don't know. I think my wife's insurance is better than mine, Daryl. She works for the school board.
So good healthy discussion, but we need to do we need to get off the block on where we want to go. Are you saying, I would like for you to drill in on where you or would like to see it be, and then let's see where we can go. Are you saying remove the cap and unbank it, or do you think it ought to just be more than the 25%, or?
No, I agree with the 25%. That's not a problem.
Okay.
320 hours at 25%. It's gonna take somebody a long time to get that kind of time gathered anyway.
So you're saying take the cap off the time?
No, sir. What I'm saying is, rather than telling them that you're only gonna pay them for 320 hours, pay them for the 25% of the hours, just like we always have. That's always been the case with Hendry County. You got 25% of your sick leave, and you got 1 hour.
Right.
You got paid your 240 hours. So.
If you had
I think we need
Okay.
to do that. I don't think we need to make that decision tonight.
I agree. I think it'll be something better looked at. Though.
Could we get an adoption for the balance and authorize staff to review policy 13.12B and the other sections referring to sick leave payout upon separation and bring that back? Could you give us till April to work on that and massage it?
I think so. So 13.2 is the only one that we need to pull in? Is that correct?
13.12.B.
13.
And A would be affected too, 13.12.A would be affected if the cap comes off, then A is a cap too.
So 13.12.A and B.
And if we could have to, say, the next LaBelle meeting in April to run some numbers on
Okay.
this, I'm not going to say get an actuary and kind of help it out, but just kind of get an idea of what the fiscal impact might possibly be,
Okay.
so that we can cut that
Sure.
over and under.
Sure.
we're talking about the 20, 25, 30-year employees, 15.
We would be looking at from date of hire through your available retirement date at year 30 by FRS standards.
And you could get us a cost, 15, 20, 25, 30.
Relative, relative based on our accruals,
Yeah.
we won't be able to tell you how often employee A actually takes sick leave or takes annual leave. That's all very subjective, and we won't be able to run an analysis like that. But we can give you maybe a snapshot at year 5, year 10, year 15, year 20, 25, and 30. Just based on the accruals, it'll be raw. It'll be there'll be no consumption rate, but at least you can see what it would be without them actually using that time.
Okay. So I want a couple moving forward, allowing staff to chew on that a little bit. So can we have a motion to accept the balance of the policy changes with the exception of policy 13.12.A and B?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wills, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Byrd.
And just a clarification, I mean, in the interim, before you adopt a final decision on 13.12, would it be that we would operate under the existing before today version of 3.12?
Until we reach that decision.
13.12.
That's right.
Right.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that clarification, Attorney Lack. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion passes. Ms. Papelon's going to talk to us about a grant application. Is everyone familiar with this? And does everyone have a chance to know where we're going and why? Okay, good.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Commission. I'm Janet Papineau, Director of the Office of Budget and Grants, and I'm here to seek permission to apply for grant funding to do a feasibility study to build a new jail in
And this
complex.
is permission to apply for the grant only, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
And I gave you an updated,
Second.
Okay, got it. Moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Wills. Is there any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Papelon. I look forward to seeing some grant come in to do that feasibility study. Mr. Parker's going to talk to us about the Port LaBelle system utility. Is there any electric in that, or is it water only? What all is involved with the utility systems in Port LaBelle?
Water and sewer only.
Water and sewer, right, no
Yes.
electric. Okay, that's all separate. Okay.
For the record, Chairman Shane Parker, Henry County Public Works Director. The item I have before you is basically, as described in my report, to increase the pay range, which is currently $14 to the high end of $20.56 to $18 with a high end range of $27. We are having a hard time finding plant operators. I included a schedule in the back to show you some comparables of other ranges for other counties and cities and water districts. Usually our operators stay and then they leave for higher paying jobs, and we're not having any success in finding anybody because then everybody knows what we pay, and we need to be able to advertise what our range is to be able to get good qualified candidates.
Got to get you some homegrowns like Chief Deputy Nelson did.
This will help me do it. We got some out there now.
There's no problem in budget-wise?
No problem budget-wise. The last employee that we were paying left at $19.58. So if the guy's more qualified, or the lady is, a few more dollars will not affect plus.
Isn't that a deal, I think I talked about, isn't that a deal where we can't hire somebody and train them? You want somebody already
You have to
trained?
have those certificates.
We can train them, and we're currently doing that. We have a training program Roger worked out to help raise people up through the ranks. But the problem is when they get far enough, they get the license. 2 of them went to the tribe to work, and they're making over $20 an hour.
And you can't hold them back for that. And before I flipped the page, when I was doing my homework, and I did a quick Google search on salary averages for utility plant operators, the number came up to 13 to 26 an hour, so I think you're spot on with what you're asking. I don't think you're out of range at all.
I move to accept.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Burns. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I just got a question. You said that we do have training if we brought somebody else on?
We do. We have some individuals currently working in the field, and they have a STEP program where if they pass certain tests or in certain, we'll just say tests that are required, they'll get a bump in pay. And then if they put so much plant time in, they get an increase in pay. And then when they get their actual plant certification, they'll get another bump in pay. And
How
that's
long is the
incentive.
training?
Well, they gotta have 2,080 hours in the plant, so the fastest would be a year, but it could be a year and a half to 2 years. Just
But what
depends.
happens is they get that last paper and then they go get another
Go to
job.
the tribe, make twice as what we can
Same
say.
as the deputies, they used to go to Collier County.
I know one scenario, we had a operator making $14, maybe $15 an hour, and he went to the drive and was making over 20 on the low end.
Can you hold a certificate?
No,
That's pretty hard.
That goes with
Pretty hard to take
individual.
education. Good thought, though.
Can't do it.
All right, I think we're in the middle of the motion. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Chairman, the next item I have for you is supplemental task authorization number 11 with AECom for the design and reconstruction of Rodeo Drive from State Road 29 to LaBelle Airport. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Wills. Is there any discussion from the board or questions?
That does come out of airport fund?
It does, temporarily. This is being funded 100% by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Okay.
And they're gonna actually pay for the construction and the CEI services at a later date.
Awesome. That's good. That'll open up some new land on that west side of that airport.
That's where the-
It'll tie into those taxi lanes that were recently constructed,
Right.
paid for by DOT and FAA, and there's also a water line designed in this project too, to serve those hangars.
Oh, awesome.
That's where the new dog.
The new dog.
lanes or something.
Good, good. Awesome. Okay, any further questions, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. you have one you'd like to add?
Yes, sir, and I apologize to the board, but I have a change order to Community Asphalt Corporation's contract for Flaghole Road. This is not going to be funded by DOT. This will be funded by Henry County Road and Bridge to the County Transportation Tax Fund.
Okay.
It's in the amount of $37,376.50. There's no change in contract time, and this is for paving a section of Pinecone Lane that has potholes. We're trying to time it with the paving of Flaghole Road so we can avoid any mobilization charges.
Good, good. Yeah, it's needed too. It's pretty rough there. Okay, we have a motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Wills. Is there any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Next on the list, Attorney Lapp, miscellaneous advertising services.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have here the miscellaneous advertising services that's coming up on to expire middle of April, so I'm suggesting we go out to bid and see what we can get back from the papers in our county.
Okay.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. And I would like to add that I would like for us to make this sort of a precedent for not only this services, but pretty much any service that this county has. I would like for the board to consider this to be a precedent if we're spending money with vendors, and we need to do our correct due diligence in making sure that we're protecting our fiduciary responsibilities that our elected constituents have entrusted to us. So I look forward to seeing that happen on this as well as all bid type services or any services that's being rendered to the county. And
Just to be clear, your procurement ordinance does have some dollar thresholds that other things, depending on their dollar amount, they are not competitively bid, they're written quotes,
right,
or for things below $5,000, it can be verbal quotes, so the procurement ordinance has all that.
Right.
But we're bidding everything we have to.
Right, everything above that threshold.
Right.
Right, very good. Okay, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Hearing of the public. Does anyone from the public wish to address the board? I do have a speaker's card from Mr. Fred Bosley. Good evening, Mr. Bosley.
Good evening, and thank you, Commissioners, for listening to me. Now, I have some pictures I'd like to pass out to you and let you review them as I get ready to speak. Such a time in this world that have no respect for property and for lives. The community center has been broken in numerous times. The center itself has been broken in twice. The windows have been broken in, and the report has been made. You'll see where the door has been opened on our shed, and there's everything in there from tablecloths to things for Easter, for Halloween, for Christmas. There's ball bats, gloves, and so forth. And you'll notice on one of the pictures where they couldn't open the door, and they bent the top and the bottom up. Well, after the first time that they broke in and they threw everything out, it really wasn't anything that they took. It was the things that they just dumped out, and games and parts that could not be put back together, and we just ended up having to throw quite a bit of it away. I took a piece of metal that you can see part of it sticking up on the door where they couldn't open it, and put a hasp on there, and it secured the door. The door is pretty well made out of foam, and it has a skin on the inside and outside of it. And they have turned the water hose on the outside pavilion, and that well is in that pump house there by the pavilion. And they've flooded the area. They've turned the picnic tables upside down, and even taken one and put it up on the sidewalk close to the building. they've taken and turned the hose bib on at the community center, and that comes from a deep well located to the north part of the property, and it would run the aerator down, and hopefully each time that happens that it'll automatically cut off. But the one in the shed, it won't. This last time, they even took the hose bib off of the outside pavilion. Both times that we've ended up throwing numerous irreplaceable things that we do to support our children. And what I come to for your consideration, and you'll see where they even broke the door handle on the back side of the community center, and that was replaced by $733. And then they put a piece of plywood up on that shed until they find out what type of a door that they can put up to replace the one that was up there. But I come for your consideration and ask if you would put up some security cameras, and they have some that is the size of a marble that can be placed on different sides of the community center building itself, and it would go to the back where the outside buildings are, and it would also go out to the outside pavilion. I would like to ask if you'd consider putting bars on the windows, because they're in the neighborhood of about $3,000 worth of sewing machines and sewing material and parts for the sewing machines, and the county has put up a petition to block that area off, but it would be a disaster if someone broke in the building and started tearing things up as they did on the outside.
Mr. Mosley, how often have they been breaking in?
Okay, the dates are on here in December and then February.
December and February?
And then prior to that, it's been back a few years when they busted the windows and went into the community center.
Who else have you spoke to so far?
About securing
this issue at all?
Alan Bowen, he's taken care of putting the plywood up, and he took care of replacing the handle on the door.
With regards to added security measures or doing any proactive things?
At one time, we had some communication with Mr. Chapman.
A while back, recently?
The last 2 months, yeah, January.
Okay, all right. And nothing through rec or anything like that?
No, sir.
Is it intended to be and not do some of the other measures, but let's, if you're going to get into it, we need to do every layer possible. Is there a reason for people to be able to drive up there anytime they want?
Yes, they can right now.
But is there a reason for them to? Why would you want folks to be able to go there in the middle of the night?
We wouldn't. There's a time limit on the time that they could come in there and play basketball. They have lights that come on when it starts to turn and dawn, and they can stay there till 10 o'clock at night.
Okay.
But didn't that used to be fenced in where you had to have a key to get in? The building?
No, sir. There's a walkway when you drive right up. There's a handicap parking that's concreted, and that walkway right there has never been fenced in or so, and it's just like a 4-foot fence. That's a chain link fence. Then the one around the ball field is like maybe a 5-foot fence to go around that area.
I was trying to remember how that's set up. Is that not at the end of that street?
Yes, right at the very end on the right-hand side, yes.
Go ahead.
As a follow-up, I attended the Pioneer Community Association meeting in January and addressed several issues. This was one of the items that was brought up to me during that discussion, as well as a conversation about the summer camp plans that would be made available. What we have done on the staff side of things is we're seeing a collision of two projects that have come together. We currently are very proud to announce to the board, and some of you may be aware of this, some of you may not, but just recently we were able to put in Wi-Fi, wireless internet at each one of the community centers, the Harlem Civic Center, the Pioneer Community Center, and the Felda Community Center. That was a critical step to have the infrastructure in place to now look at cheaper options for security cameras. That's been on our radar for the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 weeks in particular, as we were able to get the Wi-Fi put in place. And there's no additional cost to the taxpayer for that. That's all being covered by county funds currently per the board's direction recently. So not only are you able to use your wireless internet for uses of public meetings and sharing information, but we also can use this as security feeds back to a central hub to be determined. We're currently trying to work on refining what camera fits best for the needs of what we're looking at here with the community center, and then being able to duplicate that. What is the affordability of it? What is the size and scope? If the board would like for us to look at an entirely different route than what has been requested, bars on the windows, we have not got quotes for that yet. That's something that we could look at, but it's not usually recommended because it's a community center. It's supposed to be warm and welcoming to the environment around them. If you're wanting to look at gates or other types of facility security issues, we're going to have to look at that from a facility maintenance policy or a facility use policy, which should be coming back before the board here at any meeting in the next couple of months. So we can take those items up, but we are moving forward with trying to meet the community's association's request to put cameras in. We just had a little bit of a trouble beta testing out the Wi-Fi infrastructure. That infrastructure is in place. It's robust, it's cost effective, and we should take advantage of it.
Mr. Boozer, did they take anything or just destroy?
Never took a thing that we can understand. Probably had 30 of those hula hoops, and they bent them, whatever. They took a lot of the little games and the parts and just, well, you can see there in that picture, they just dumped everything out.
So they wasn't there stealing.
No.
They didn't take anything, they just tear it up.
Yeah.
I've been involved in that quite a few times, so every time it's just to tear stuff up. There is no perimeter fence, which was asking about a while ago. There never has been a perimeter fence.
Why couldn't you perimeter fence it and just put a time limit up, and every day it gets locked at a certain time, and
Somebody will have to go down and unlock it, and somebody have to go back and lock it back up.
manpower with the fence?
Even a walk-through gate, even with a walk-through gate in place, they would still have the opportunity for the family to walk in and do it right.
And the walk-through gate that Daryl and I was discussing, it's so that they can drive a four-wheeler through it.
It had to be 5 foot. When we put that in, that had to be 5 foot per ADA.
For a wheelchair? Yes.
Sir. That's the reason it's that wide. When we put that fence in, we put the sidewalk in, the parking lot. When we did all that, that's why that was done.
Yes.
I think maybe Charles need to look at the fencing deal first.
Fence and some camera options.
Just get different options. and bring it
yeah.
back to the board.
It does need to be addressed.
At one time, they put up a camera, and it was a large enough camera where it was right out in plain open, and it got destroyed. But they have them about the size of a marble that has a good viewpoint, and you can have a recorder that'll come on motion. That we very much appreciate if that was in consideration in moving as fast as possible.
Mr. Chapman, would you mind asking staff to look into it and come up with some proactive measures for security?
First thing in the morning, I have my notes.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're working on it, actually. We spoke today about this situation that they're contacting an overhead door, they're moving forward.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah, for the price of that one door that was broken, $733. That I don't believe that the security cameras would be within some type of a range there, plus whatever they put on that shed door.
Okay. Awesome. Maybe Chief Deputy Nelson can ask his deputy that patrols that area to go through there more frequently and spend more time in there as well.
Do you know if it was done in the daytime or night?
No, it had to be done at night because the water, when they turned the hose bib on, and when they took the hose bib off, it flooded the whole area. You can see where they turned the hose bib before they taken it off the second time, where they turned it to where the iron water was up against the pump shed and all over everything. Turned the table upside down in that water. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Bozick. Are there any other members of the public wish to address the board at this time? Seeing none. Business by district.
District 1.
You have some? Oh, sure. All right. Commissioner Bird?
At the last board meeting, I gave everyone a letter. I just need to bring it to your attention that there will be a letter going out on behalf of Harlem and the Clewiston community. Looking at the different business, I believe the attorney Mark Lapp gave me some different type of organizations that I could not contact to help furnish the Harlem Civic Center. We're changing the name to Culture, but this letter just going out to solicit some business areas to help us rebuild or to build a safe place for the youth in the community. So that was for your information to read. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention so they won't get sideswiped.
Awesome. Anything else? I don't like getting sideswiped. Mr. Harris?
Yeah, this for you.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, our local college, I talked to the board members in Fort Myers, and if you could get with Mr. Paletti, you and him, maybe get us a letter of support to try to get ag courses in our local schools so they don't have to go to the University of Florida and Georgia. And since we are agriculture, Glades, Henry, Palm Beach, if we can get enough people, enough backing to get those courses in our local schools, then we don't have to drive.
In our local colleges.
Yes, and the one here is the one we're just going to work on first.
The FSW branch
Yes.
in LaBelle.
But we can't just go up there and say, will y'all do this? So we need support from the school system.
Okay.
Give Mr. Paletti.
All right. I'll be happy to.
You can
Chase it.
You can do that tomorrow.
I can. But tonight? Tonight? Okay. That's fine. Anything else? That's it. I don't have anything, but Commissioner Turner is not here, so I feel obligated to say something about monkeys. Anybody? Just want to make sure we don't want to go through a whole meeting about that, right? Okay. No further business? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.